welcome to today's episode of Dear Van. Um, we're happy to come to your phones and your PCs once again this morning or this afternoon, this evening. And as usual, it's me, Vanel, and right. And so, as shared across in the course of the week, today we want to look at a comparison between the earlier generation and the current generation when it comes to marriage. We want to figure out, learn lessons from both generations, figure out if one was actually better than the other. So let's do this. And today we're focusing on the topic of commitment. And so taking the two generations, the earlier one and the current one, we're looking at the topic of commitment. Which of them was more committed to the cause of marriage or to the institution of marriage? Prissy, what's your take on this?
Um, so I would want to say that that generation seem to be committed, more committed to the marriage, and our generation, not necessarily for the right reasons. And so some may be committed because they are status, as in their current, it could be educational, have to be committed. They have no other choice than to be committed. Then IT that we live in also forces people to pass. Now, this society is more accepting of people breaking out of marriages. In the past, once you are divorced or you break out as less of a person. So I believe those are some of the reasons why so committed. They had no choice.
Okay, yeah, and just as you mentioned, I mean, in the older generation or earlier generation, that should be the right expression. Um, People were committed for all sorts of reasons, and it could be. I mean, some could be as trivial as the husband has a nice handwriting. I know you don't believe this, but this is real. I mean, something I've heard from someone, and or it could be that we in the marriage because society will not afford us the ear if we say that we're breaking out of the marriage and so on and so forth. And so because society was frowning on divorce or breaking out of marriages, then people remain committed. I mean, just as you mentioned. But one other thing I would want to point out is that earlier on, it was more like there were reasons other than love for marriages, taking place. And so, like, for example, even today, I have quite a number of Indian friends. And so, if an Indian friend gets married, find someone, usually the first person that comes is it arranged or is it based on love? It means that marriage is not always formed just because of love. So in the previous generation, you had so many people going into marriage because of different reasons. And so there was always the quest to follow through with whatever the reasons are. So say you got married to a rich farmer and everyone is helping on the farm, you would hardly break out, say you're breaking out of marriage when the farm still exists, because that is the reason why you got into the marriage in the first place. And you can't just look at leaving out all your, hard work, your toil, investment in that farm, and so on and so forth. And so, yes, when it comes to commitment, it looks like the older generation were more committed. Sorry, the earlier generation were more committed, but maybe not necessarily for all the right reasons. Because I'm sure you've heard this, Prissy, where people would say that they are in this marriage just because of their kids. I mean, maybe one spouse is playing the fool, and everyone thinks, oh, I mean, there should be no reason why you are still in this marriage. And you hear that, oh, I'm in this marriage just because of the
Yeah.
kids. Do you think those are good enough reasons to remain in a marriage?
Yes. So I believe that most of our past, I want to use the word selfless for a reason. So
Okay.
that generation more of every other person first, for how the breakup will affect all other people before thinking about how it's what today's generation is more of like myself. They think about themselves first before thinking about any as the marriage, the breakup will impact. And so
Right.
as the kid is also enough reason because I'll say it depends on the situation why you want to break up. So if that situation is not too bad enough, like something that is not detrimental to your life, and you feel that
Yeah.
you can remain, why not?
Okay. Okay. So it looks more like in today's playoff between the earlier generation and the current generation, the earlier generation is in a lead by a goal to nil. It looks like they win on the commitment bit. And I just want to point out, it looks like, yes, today, I mean, because we are so enlightened and we think we are so enlightened and we are so educated and all, we might look back at some of the reasons the earlier generation was giving for staying in marriages, and we go like really seriously. They sound quite flimsy reasons to be in marriage. I mean, because of our supposed enlightenment, and so what I would want to point out is that we should find so we can agree that the earlier generation was, yes, really finding reasons to be in marriage. And I think the lesson we can learn here is that instead of looking for the one reason why we'll have to break apart, just like the earlier generation, let's look for that one reason why that marriage is worth our while. Because it's all about how, I mean, we are programmed to think. If there are 1,000 good things and there is one bad thing, and you focus on that, then obviously it would give you enough reason to move out of the marriage. However, if you can focus on the 1,000 good things, or maybe that one overarching reason, then maybe those other bad reasons will be, I mean, they wouldn't be big enough a reason for you to leave the marriage. Because reality is that it's not always going to be sunny in your marriage. There will definitely be rainy days. There will be days where everyone goes mad. There will be days where you are not happy. There will be days where you ask yourself, why did you even get married? But just like the older generation, if we can pick out one reason why the marriage is worthwhile, I think it will boost our commitment goals. And so, at the end of this session, the earlier generation is leading by a goal to nil. We'll come back next week and delve into another topic. I mean, under the same, earlier generation, current generation, we'll take one focus area and figure out if the current generation is doing better than the earlier generation or not. So it is a wrap for today or tonight. And thanks for joining us. Would want to admonish you to support us by just sharing our page if you think it's share worthy. Follow us, like our page. Our pages, because this one is streaming on YouTube, is streaming on Facebook and Instagram. Go support us, share, tag a friend, and then let's keep discussing our relationships and our marriages. And so it's bye for now. Always remember that no two relationships are the same. Cheers and bye-bye. Look at the sources of financial pressures. Now, we've identified two main sources of financial pressure. So the first one being internal, that is internally generated in the marriage, and the one that is without, the externally generated ones. What makes you two happy, and not allow the pressure of having to impress everyone have a toll on your marriage. For example, if what you can afford is a single room somewhere, what matters is that you are happy, basically, and not what will my friends say, what will my family say, what would everyone say, apart from what would my spouse say.
Having kids is like having little bosses at home. They control what you do. It's very difficult to control kids. So it's not easy to handle them. It brings a lot of pressure, especially if you are not that used to taking care of